Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Exit the Maze podcast. I'm your co-host, Scott Jones, with, of course, Dr. Donna Marks, and we are here to talk about all things about addiction and recovery and treatment and really kind of all the things that kind of go around there. Donna, how are you today?
Doing fantastic today. Just had a nice little networking coffee morning with other colleagues, and I got to see Karen, our associate. And
Yeah, that's one of those things that goes on that people probably don't know about. Is we've got a lot of treatment people, whether they're therapists or they have private practice or even treatment centers, they get together at these. We call them coffee clutches or whatever you want to call them. But a lot of that's about how can we strengthen our community and help more people, and people are looking for answers. We certainly know some places are still stuck in their ways, and that's just the way they are. But there are a lot of good people looking to do things different, aren't there, Donna?
Well, I think networking is very important because just today, I think I was the only private practitioner there, but I got a couple of cards from different people, and I will refer to those resources. And several people got my card because of the uniqueness of my practice, which I offer the concierge and really work intensively. They sign up for a month or several months up to a year and involve the whole family in the process. So, it was really good to be able to just know those different resources that are available. Not all the treatment centers do the same thing. It was a very eclectic group of people. And it's really very engaging people too. These people show up consistently each time, so you develop relationships and friendships out of them. And I really encourage anybody that's listening, that's in the field to, I don't know how they would sign up though. Somebody sent me an email, but I have no idea who it was. I think it was Hampton from Futures sent it to me. He's always inviting me to things. It's so nice of him. He really makes me feel included. But I'm not sure, how anybody, I guess you just invite someone, or.
Yeah, sure. It's really been word of mouth.
Yeah.
But if you're interested, if you're in the South Florida area and you want to attend some of these things, you could always give us a call here at Addiction Training Center. And we've usually got a pretty good beat on which ones are going on and when, even if we don't attend. Even if we don't attend, we can point you in the right direction. What's that?
Are they always up in Stewart?
Well, that one is. That one is
okay.
always in Stewart. And was it at the Berry Fresh restaurant?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a nice place. Great place. Great place to have breakfast after.
I went there. I had breakfast after. I wound up sitting with a friend of mine who was there, and we had a nice little chat.
Excellent. But yeah, they have them in Fort Lauderdale. They've got them in West Palm Beach. They've got them in Delray. They've got them in Miami. So they're really all over the place. So
next time I'd like to go to the West Palm.
Yeah,
it was a bit of a trek, and I didn't have any coffee this morning because I was looking forward to having some when I got there.
Look at Joe Bryan's with us, Donna.
Hey, Joe was there this morning.
He was just saying he was there.
Yeah, it was nice to see you. I didn't have a chance to chat with you.
Yeah. Well, Joe, thanks for joining us on the show today. No, and it's good that we get to know a lot of different people because, as you well know, I mean, any treatment center or even any therapist that says they can help anybody is not the place you want to go. You want to go to places that we specialize in these areas. We really do well in these areas, just like with your practice. You want to know what's wrong so you could decide. You don't work with everybody. You work with people in certain areas.
Right. And there's very few treatment centers that I refer to. And Beachcomber, I've always had so much respect for that place and their approach and their location. I love Beachcomber, and I'm very happy with the people that I've referred to Futures also. So it's, two different ends of Palm Beach County, but that's good too, because sometimes people want to stay close to home.
Right. In Beachcomber, I would not refer that to a kid who wants to have a lot of noise and activity all around him. I'd refer that to somebody who wants to sit and reflect and be
peace and quiet,
have peace and quiet.
Yeah.
And certainly there's places that are better for maybe traumatized women. There's places that are better for people who have people who are older. So it's just good. If you're not sure who to refer to, please ask a professional. ask a professional. Don't just send your kid somewhere or your loved one somewhere because it looks good on the internet. Make sure that
Right.
you ask a professional so that way you know if it's really a good fit for them.
And there's
Because
case managers that just do that. They just specialize in treatment centers. And
yes,
and my daughter started, by the way, she started. Joe knows her. Started a website called Warehab, and where to go for rehab is what it's about. And you can look on there and see the age, the where it's located. That most of them that she has on there in Florida. And also, what's really exciting about that, the individuals who have been there actually rate the facility like Yelp. So it's good to have that feedback.
it is good because you know what? People will research the car they're going to buy more than they'll research where they're going to send their loved one for something that might save their life. It's kind of backwards a little bit. Learn if you don't know the questions to ask. Again, get a professional involved. Um, and certainly call the treatment centers if you're gonna deal directly. Make sure you have conversations with people and you feel comfortable with it. If you don't feel comfortable, look around a little bit more. But anyway, with all that being said, it's great when people get together and we're all trying to do good things. And Donna, that's let's talk about your book for a moment. Exit the Maze. It's about looking at things a little bit differently and trying to improve addiction recovery and actually improve the numbers as far as how much the numbers of people who are recovering, because
Right.
we're still behind on this. We're still
Yeah.
not having great success.
Right. Well, if anything, I think a lot of places have gone backwards, with the, putting so many people on so much medication. When
Yeah.
I went into treatment, I said, I'm so depressed. I think I need medication. And I was at Hazleton in Minnesota. And they thought, let's wait a year and see, how you're doing. And of course, I've never been on medication. So, well, actually, that's not true. I went through a horrendous period where I was on it for about a month just to get me through it. That was about 18 years ago. But anyhow, I mean, it has become the protocol now instead of it being, like a very necessary and essential part of someone's recovery. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I don't believe that the family is included enough. Having them on the side over here for a few little hours or even a week of the 1 month stay, or I guess it's 3 to 5 days or whatever. I think the family should be in treatment almost as much as the targeted patient, because it is, you can't say it's a family illness and then treat one person in the family mostly.
Yeah.
The dynamics just don't work that way. And of course, the trauma, a lot of people are addressing the trauma now. I know that places like the Beachcomber always have addressed the trauma. I've had patients in there up to 30 plus years ago, and I know that they do that. And those people have a much better chance of staying sober because they may not completely heal all their trauma, but at least they know what triggers them and they have alternatives. And then the part of my book that I really zoom in on is we've got to replace addiction with learning how to care and love for yourself, because every addiction is a substitute for love. I don't care if it's sex. I don't care if it's alcohol. I don't care if it's food. I don't care if it's video games. You're doing that to get a feeling, and you're confusing that feeling with loving yourself. So
Yeah.
that's the big takeaway from the book, is that there's a whole thing there on how to substitute the addiction with a behavior. And as we talked about last week, that's emotional, and that's relationships, and that's spiritual.
Absolutely. I want to throw in there. Joe's throwing 2 comments at us. I just want to give them a moment here. Joe says that's why he wants to set up a best treatment practices. He has a nonprofit, wants to get a bunch of the treatment centers together if they can pass the mustard, so to speak. And he and I have talked about it already. So we certainly would like to do that, and that way we work together instead of fighting against each other, and
Right.
bringing these new ideas to the table and
Yeah.
these things that we should be
Yeah.
doing. He also says, well, we're not going to argue with this statement. Donna's books are excellent, and he recommends them. So,
Oh, how sweet. Oh, thank you. Well, we recommend each other.
yes,
We both been to the rodeo a couple times, been around the block. So
Yeah,
We've gone through all these du jour methods, and that's great that to have the best practices. And I don't like to judge any facility or any person. I want to inspire people. Like, this is what I have seen over decades of why people relapse, myself included, when I did go through my relapse after 23 years of sobriety. So I want to inspire people that we can always do better, and we can't just keep giving people one addiction to get to replace another.
no, we can't, and I think that's really important. Bob Donnell is with us. Bob Donnell is a good friend of mine. He wrote the book "Your Next Level Now," and
Oh, fantastic.
he helps people reach higher levels in what they're trying to achieve in their business and in their life. And he's a fantastic guy. We've been doing some other shows together, working with other people around the country.
I love the
All
book
about
title.
Yeah, it's all about self improvement. You can get that book. It's a great book if you want to pick up a really good read. Again, it's Bob Donnell, and the book is Your Next Level Now.
That
And
is such an inspiring title. I know when I was going through COVID and people were canceling left and right for their therapy appointments, and it was my wake up call. I just written my second book, and I'm thinking, I just think I'm going to. This is my higher power knocking on the door. It's time for a change, and I took my practice to the next level. I took my book writing to the next level. Wrote another book during that time, and I switched from doing just regular psychotherapy. Well, not regular. I was already doing psychoanalysis, but and other kinds of modalities, but to a concierge level where I work intensively with a very limited number of patients, and anywhere from a month up to a year, and sometimes more, because some people have signed on for more. But there's always a way to improve the services we're offering. There's always the next level. It's like spirituality. It is not a destination.
it's a
It is
journey.
a process.
It's a process. It's a journey, and that's where you're supposed to find your reward and your joy is in that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And ATC, look at how it's growing and exploding into so many different other
Yeah.
ways to reach people, to help them.
I mean, we people are coming and saying we need more of this or we need more of that, and we are happy to oblige and to make adjustments so that we can be helpful. Really want to make a difference in like we've been talking about is helping treatment centers to identify some problems, including things like people leaving AMA, not completing programs, the amount of pushback you get from people, and a little more understanding between the staff and the clients. And so we're working diligently on that. I can tell you from experience, and I'm sure Donna, you would agree with this. Most people who leave a treatment facility because they're upset about something or because they have a momentary lapse of judgment, and maybe they just want to go use for a moment. Most of them regret that decision very quickly. And if we could find a way to keep their feet planted and make them comfortable, they could probably make it through those times, right?
Right. How to negotiate with them, like, no problem, you can leave anytime you want. Would you consider, doing something before you go? Like, would you give
Yes.
us like an hour or a day or 24 hours or something like that? But also to properly assess people before you get them in. I was just reading in the big book. I like to go to a big book meeting on Tuesdays at the club here.
Oh,
And, they
nice.
said that they used to, they would give time, jobs, even money to people who were worth, who meant business, they put it, who meant business. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people go to treatment, they don't really mean, they don't mean business. They're there for all kinds of reasons, not because they are ready to stop. So, that can always be your leverage and getting people to stay too is, how serious are they? Are they willing to go through, are you willing to do what you need to do, including feel real uncomfortable while you're in here and not run when you want to run,
Absolutely.
so that kind
Absolutely.
of thing.
So we talk a lot about things like self-love and learning about yourself and discovering yourself, and it's such an excellent journey. This does this. First of all, let's identify this is probably good advice for everybody, not just addictions, not just compulsive behaviors, but I think everyone in the world could probably use a little more self-love because it's stressful times. what we just went through with COVID, that wasn't a strain on just addicts and alcoholics and mentally ill people. That was a strain on everybody. And to survive those kind of things, you need to rely on that self-love, don't you, Donna?
Yes, and I think it was especially difficult for newly recovering people because literally the people that they were moored to, for they're out, here's the ship, the recovery meetings, and here's the rope going out to the recovering addict, and the people on the ship cut the rope, close the clubs, and so it's so sad. So someone who's like, oh, here I'm putting all my eggs in the basket of recovery, right where they should be, is like, cut loose. And it was devastating. It was really devastating. So yes, we have to learn how to love ourselves so that no matter what we're going through, whether we're in recovery or not, that we have other ropes to cling to. That's why it's important to know how to love ourselves, have that support system in place at all times, and have a higher power, and to be able to feel connected no matter what's going on out there.
Absolutely. That's our foundation. That's the foundation on which we stand. And without that, we're on shaky ground. We don't want that. Bob did make a comment that he believed the intake process is so key to treatment, as you were stating. So he was backing you up on that statement. Thanks for that, Bob. Now, I've got to wonder, and obviously, I only know my perspective, but being the father of young women who are now grown women, and I've got grandchildren. I still like to say young women because it makes me feel young, Donna. But that ship has sailed.
You are young.
Some of the difficulties, especially with my youngest daughter, as she went through her addiction in treatment, some of the things she faced were a little bit different. And part of that is gender. Also, my daughter happens to be, she identifies as gay. So there were also some different things that went into that. I mean, is there a difference when you're treating men and women? And then if you even get into other things about alternative lifestyles, is there a difference in how difficult the process might be?
Well, the thing that everybody should learn is how to love themselves. So that's
Okay.
key. Your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship you will ever have. And to answer your question, yes, certainly a straight woman has different issues than a gay woman, or a straight man than a gay man, or a transgender person than someone who isn't transgender. And it's important to key in on those areas and to help people address them. For example, if someone a female or someone transgendering is going to have hormone issues, and we know that how hormones affect moods. And so if you know that, then you can counterbalance that with certain natural nutrients, not drugs, natural nutrients, and just being aware of it, and exercising and things like that, making sure you get plenty of rest. And also knowing that, when someone's hormonal, it's not a good time to have an argument for the person who's hormonal or for the person with them. So let's put this on hold for 2 more days, kind of thing. But yes, there's all kinds of things. And then the whole issue of dating, and when do you have a relationship, and what if, when do I get a divorce, or is my marriage worth saving? Is my significant other supportive? These are all very significant issues in dealing with sex and sexuality and gender identifications and recovery.
It seems to me that women have more pressure on them by society to fill a certain role than, say, men do. Even if we're talking about superficially, you're supposed to look a certain way and act a certain way and to be all of this, whereas men are expected to be somewhat rough and dirty and messed up. Um, is that so you've got to, when you're learning to love yourself, you got to be able to look past kind of what you see every day on TV is they're telling you you're not good enough. And that's kind of a stumbling block too, isn't it?
Well, there's a conversation that you're not good enough. And then there's a conversation that Bob was helping people to obtain, is how can I do better? And so, a personal appearance that you feel good about. Are you taking care of your body? Are you feeding it the right things? Are you putting nice clothes on that body that are clean and that when you put them on, you feel good? Are you taking care of your physical well-being, your nails and your hair and your teeth and your eyes and things like that? That's all part of self-love. It's self-care. So whether you're a man or a woman, I think that kind of depends on your career too, because there are certain careers that either person could walk into disheveled and fit right in, or they could go in, and if they don't have their suits on, they're going to be like, "What are you doing in here?" So I think it depends on situations. I think where men get more of a pass than women is that it's okay for men to be more aggressive, even if it's not good for them. And it's also okay for them to be more sexually prowessed. Now, a lot of that's changing. Women are certainly becoming more aggressive and more sexual and more sexually aggressive, but I don't know that it's 50-50 yet on either of those spectrums.
And I would imagine when we're talking about now, obviously with the LGBTQ communities, there's a little bit more of a footprint in the communities where there is, they're dealing with certain things, and they have kind of even though it's certainly not an equal place, but it is a place in society that they're working towards. When you get to transgender, is that kind of a lost position? Because I think we're still just getting used to that idea publicly. I mean, we knew about it, but nobody talked about it until probably just the last 6-7 years, or even 10 years maybe, that where the conversations come up. I mean, was transgender never existed in the 70s or 80s? It did.
Well, I don't think
we
that.
didn't talk about it.
Well, there's transvestism where someone likes to wear the clothing of the opposite sex. Has been around for many, many centuries. Actual sex change operations, or someone identifying as the opposite sex when they were born into another body. I've been he's working with people like that for 30 years. I think it's more commonly discussed now.
That's what I was trying to say. In society, it's more talked about now.
Yes. And people are coming more and more out of the shadows, let's say, and being more authentic to themselves and who they are and their lifestyles and their personal preferences.
Now, there's a lot of places. I don't want to go too far into this. Maybe this is something we could just continue with in small doses, but there's a lot of places that say they're LGBTQ and transgender. T is the transgender. They say that they're appropriate or friendly. Should there be specific tracks for them to deal with certain issues in a treatment center? Should they really, if they're going to say that they deal with LGBTQ issues, should they have really specialty programming in there to deal with those issues?
Well, they're not putting men and women all in the same rooms, so I think that when someone has a sexual preference that is unique and not the same as a man or a woman traditionally, that whatever their issues are unique, because it's very painful, by the way, to feel different, to be different, and to transition from, a heterosexual person to a bisexual or gay person. It's very painful for someone to have to face that no matter how hard they've tried, they cannot feel like the sex that they were born with. And so just to kind of slough over that and go, hey, we're all in here, there's one big happy family. Well, that's good and that's important, but it's important also to address those unique issues, not only from the perspective of the sexual preference, but also to help people to come together in treatment and acclimate towards one another, to understand the uniqueness of each individual, and that we're all the same, but we're not all the same.
Yes. Because I imagine if you're trying to love yourself or learn to love yourself, if you're being separated and ousted somehow, that's fighting against the current now. I mean, now you've got so you need inclusion, but you also need to understand those particular issues. Lynn is with us. Lynn Serrano, a friend of mine. She's out in Montana. She's joining us here today.
Oh, welcome back, Lynn.
Yes. We have some great programming. She does a lot of great programming with people like Bob Donnell and others. And she's also in the right smack in the middle of the intervention course right now. So,
oh, fantastic.
That's a good thing. So, you know, I guess when it comes to this stuff, how much weight do we put on things like gender identity and things like that when you're choosing a treatment center? How much
Well,
weight
I
should you
think,
put on that?
it's one thing to say that I deal, or, a treatment center deals with all these, you know, labels of sexual
Yeah.
preferences. But do they really? I mean, do they have somebody in there that's an expert in those areas, a psychological expert in those areas? Um, because you don't want to be faking this, and you want to be able to be sure that you understand and that your facility is appropriate for that. And you also want your other patients to understand that the facility does serve all mankind. So, you don't want to set it up so that people are, not
Yeah.
understanding that coming into it. But some people are just sticking all kinds of stickers all over the place. We do this, we do this, we do this, we do this. And,
Yeah.
that's not really fair to anybody. Just be sure. And again, a case manager, or even if you're a referring therapist, go look at these places and see what's going on. Same thing with meetings. There's a lot of meetings around here that have lots of transgender people attending. And,
Right.
that's something you want someone to be able to plug into once they get out of treatment. There's a lot of
Absolutely.
gay meetings, there's a lot of transgender meetings, there's meetings for every, Hispanics and Latinos, and so we are all in the boat together again, but we also have different rafts that we get on out of the boat so that we
Ab-
can have those connections with people who we have more in common with.
yes. Yes. I forgot to mention Bob also trained as the interventionist, and he finished his course, and he's saying it was a great course. Thank you.
It's
Um,
fantastic, and you have several courses on your website, and all of them offer CEUs, which is exciting.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have the Exit the Maze course. What we're talking about is on the website as well. So if anybody's interested in that,
And
you
Karen's
want to
course
sign
on
up.
brain chemistry, which is so important.
Oh, absolutely. So let me ask you something, because we spent a lot of time talking about self love, and I'm convinced. I kind of knew a little bit of that, but once you and I started talking and started recording your course and spending more time with you, and I'm absolutely sold and convinced that without that, you're nowhere. I know for me, I would be nowhere. But there also has to be a change on the outside influences that we have if you're going to do that successfully, because the outside influences I had in my life were very negative. And if I were to surround myself with those negative things, especially being new to self love, it would be really easy for me to abandon that and go into the negative. So it's really important people surround themselves with positive influences, especially coming right out of treatment. And you were just mentioning about the lifeboat. You want to get in a lifeboat with people that you like, right?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. But those you need positive influences from the outside if you're going to be doing that inner work.
Would you
How
be
important is that?
comfortable sharing with the audience some of what you mean by negative influences in your life?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I could share that my brother and I were close for most of our lives. My younger brother, and we went through a lot of difficult times together growing up as children of addicts, um, and then we became partiers together too. Um, I was sober when I was younger, then I relapsed, but he and I became drinking buddies and companions and best friends and all that. And when I got sober, something didn't feel right with that relationship. And as much as I love my brother and I love him to death, we really lost our major connection. And for me to try to make up that ground on that connection, it would be going backwards for me. I can't make up that ground while he's still doing what I used to do. I can't go back and try to fix that. So I've had to say, listen, I've got to take care of me. I love him, but it can't be a part of my inner circle anymore. And that's been a difficult thing to do. But I know that if I was trying to gain his favor, it would lead me closer to a drink and certainly lead me away from the self acceptance and self love that I have for myself now. So that's
Yeah,
what I'm talking about.
yeah, that's very sad, and that those kinds of losses have to be mourned. I know my when I went into treatment the first time in 1986, the only time I went into treatment, and my best friend said, "You don't have a problem. That's ridiculous." And oh, good, we have someone on Facebook watching. And even one of my parents, was like, "What? What do you mean you don't have a substance problem?" And because I was so highly functioning, and they
Yeah,
also, liked, me the way I was.
that's so true. That happens a lot.
so so it was very difficult, losing that best friend, and all my other drinking buddies actually. And I was the least drinking of all of them, so I could see why they said what they were saying. But when my own parent was like, "I don't get this at all," and even wrote like a 3-page letter to treatment because we had to contact the people closest to us and ask them to give us feedback, kind of like a post intervention. And I couldn't get that kind of feedback from anyone. It was bizarre, but it was also dangerous because it was in the back of my mind for 23 years brewing around. Well, maybe I'm not.
Yeah,
So, and part of my relapse. But anyhow, it's very dangerous for someone to say, "Oh, you don't have a problem." Well, really, what they're saying is, "Please don't have a problem. I like you the way you are," and we have to be very careful of that. And
absolutely.
and that's part of the self-love. And finally what I've realized is I don't care if I have a problem or not. I'm functioning so much better without cigarettes and drugs and
Yeah.
alcohol. And I love myself so much more. In fact, I actually like myself too. So it's really
Yeah.
important to be able to
It's
recognize.
funny. My father made those statements a few times. He's like, "Well, he goes, you just got to watch how much you drink. That's all there is to it. And you don't really know, you don't have a problem." And it's like,
Stop drinking so much.
well, listen, I know he and I had some great days sitting on the porch having a cigar, having a scotch, but he didn't realize when I left there, I went home and I drank myself until I passed out on the kitchen floor, or I went
Mhm.
to a bar or 3 bars on the way home between the houses.
Right.
And so he didn't get to see all of that. And sometimes it's like, well, I tried to keep it hidden from him because I wanted him to think of me as okay. Now we've come to an understanding, and the truth is, he's very happy with who I am today. Plus, the fact when I visit his house, all of his booze doesn't disappear. So he's very happy with me now. I save him a lot of money now.
Oh, that's funny.
Uh, and we got that's fantastic, Donna.
Yeah, we need people to
Yeah,
support us, and if they're not, there's a reason why they're not. Either they're
yeah,
threatened by their own addiction, or they don't want us to change, or they're afraid we won't want them anymore in our lives. And it's amazing how family members will often literally sabotage someone who's in early recovery to get them back in place, to manage. That's how the family member manages their fears, rather than addressing their own fears and growing with the recovering person. They'll sabotage, they'll criticize, they'll not support. They will, why do you have to go to those meetings again? Or what?
yeah,
Who are those losers? Why are you going? Well, those losers sometimes are some of the wealthiest people in the world, some of the most educated people in the world, and some people off the streets that have just come out from under a bridge. But they're all there to help one another and to get better. And so addiction doesn't have a price tag on it, other
yeah,
than if you keep doing it, you're going to go crazy or die. We all know that. But it's every walk of life. In fact, one of my most recent things that I was reading is that there's just as many problems with addiction. The more money someone has, because they have more access, and they can buy more things, and they can spend more money on their drugs of choice, whether that's shopping or sex, or drugs or alcohol, the best food in the world. It doesn't have
yeah.
to be. It doesn't have to be just alcohol and drugs.
No, right, right. And you're right. The families. I mean, I've seen families, and they're afraid of. First of all, they don't want to look at themselves. if this person has a problem, then I got to look at me, and I don't want to look at me. So let's pretend nobody has a problem. There's also, if they start becoming independent and standing on their own, what purpose do I have in their life anymore? I'm the one who cleans up their mess. I'm the one who takes care of them. I'm the one that keeps them under control. And
Right.
that's a form of control that they have over you.
Or the child addict is the one the glue that holds the parents together.
Yeah, exactly. Without that, now we're left with just ourselves, and there's not enough left because we've been drained by this addiction. That's what
Or
addiction
we
does. It
haven't
drains
been
the family.
compatible for a long time, and we'll have to face that.
Yes, absolutely. There's so much more we could talk about in this. And as a matter of fact, I think we'll pick it up. The next show is really more about damage to families, because I don't think we spend enough time talking about that, and how we can go into all the roles and stuff. And I know everybody's heard about the hero and the middle child and this and that and the comedian, but these roles are real.
Yes,
and
they are.
actually become amplified in an addicted household.
Absolutely.
So I would love to talk more about that. Hopefully everybody else will join us. We're here on Wednesdays at 1:00. That's Eastern time. What time it is? We're in Montana. I have no idea, but I think it's 1947. No, I'm kidding, Lynn. I'm kidding. I love you. And Bob, thank you for joining us. And the other people, I know there's a bunch of other people that came in and out. I want to thank all of them. And if you're watching a rerun,
we want you to invite your friends. And
yes, invite your friends. Share this with your friends. You can go right now. You can go to YouTube, Exit the Maze podcast on YouTube. And we're setting up our YouTube channel now. So it's not quite complete, but some of the shows are on there. But you could also catch it on the ATC network on YouTube. And of course, on all of our Facebook pages, Donna's page, my page, and ATC and everything. It's all out there. But I want to ask everybody, please share this with your friends. Make sure you tell people about it and join us. And as a matter of fact, we were talking about it before. If you would like to join us on the show, just send us a message and tell us about who you are and what you want to do. And we're looking to have guests on the show on occasion. So
we want to include you in the conversation, because my mission from writing the book is to, save millions of lives from addiction. And
absolutely,
you and I can't do. Two of us, can start the ball rolling, but two people started AA. So
yeah.
And now millions and millions. But we want to take that and keep passing the baton forward and to more and more people. And so the more people that are on the show and that participate, every time you write a little message, or every time you watch, or every time you tell someone, you could be saving a life from addiction.
Absolutely. And by talking to us and sharing with us, we learn also. We continue to learn and we continue to grow. And so that our mission of helping other people can become more powerful. So we need all of you to do that. We need all of you. Just the world is just too big for Donna and I to run around and do it all by ourselves. So we need help. We need help.
We need help.
I'd like to take a Sunday off every once in a while. I know
Absolutely.
Donna does this. So Donna, it's such a pleasure as always. I hope you and the family are healthy. You guys got any good plans coming up? Anything good coming up for you guys?
I'm going to be in Sedona, Arizona next week, and I'm looking forward to that. Yes.
Oh, sweet,
Yeah.
Sweet. I think I'm going to be. I'm going to be at a charity golf event next week.
Right.
For One Brother, One Sister. So I'm going to be out there for that. But anyway,
so we're going to have a previous show next week, and then we'll be back live in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. So watch out. And again, more information as we build our YouTube channel and everything else will be distributed to you guys. But for now, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Donna, you take care of yourself.
Thank you.
And everybody out there. Sorry?
Have a good one, and love all you guys out there.
Yes, love all you guys. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to somebody else. And you'll be amazed just how wonderful your day can be.
Absolutely. Be